Skip it up and that up. So pretty much until the 7th generation of consoles, console life cycles averaged around 5 to 6 years. Now, I'm not talking about how long a console is supported till. Hell, the original Nintendo Entertainment System was supported by Nintendo until the mid-90s, and the PlayStation 2 was still being manufactured until about 2011, and the PlayStation 2 came out in 2001, and if you count the Famicom over in Japan, the original Nintendo Entertainment System came out in the early 80s, around 1983. So I'm not saying how long a console is supported till, but a console as the premier product from a company, as the best and most powerful console you could buy, is usually has around a 5 to 6 year life cycle. And again, that was the case until the 7th generation, where we saw the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 have around 7 and 8 year life cycles, where they were the main console until they had the successors, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. But Nintendo is thinking with the Nintendo Switch, with how popular it is, how it's a hybrid console, and it's really in its own market, they think that they could actually have the Switch last longer than 5 to 6 years. This is what Shigeru Miyamoto had to say about the Nintendo Switch during an investor Q&A. When you think about what could be done with the Nintendo Switch as a device that can be taken on the go and that every person has in their hands to play, you realize it has many features not available on any other hardware to date. Nintendo also has a system in place whereby the software developers focus on these hardware features in their development efforts for the continuation of the Nintendo Switch business. Up until now, the hardware life cycle has trended at around 5 or 6 years, but it would be very interesting if we could prolong that life cycle, and I think you should be looking forward to that. And Nintendo director Shinya Takahashi said that they have junior development teams thinking of new ways to make the Switch more interesting, products to make their Switch more interesting, and they're hoping these unique products and these unique approaches to the Switch will help it last longer than 5 to 6 years. So it'll be interesting. We'll have to wait and see if they could actually do it. Here is my main concern with the Nintendo Switch lasting this long, though, especially if they don't refresh the hardware in terms of refreshing it and upgrading it. Okay, all consoles get hardware refreshes where they make them smaller, lighter, or they just, they refine the fabrication process and the chipsets become smaller inside of them, so on and so forth. But if they don't upgrade the hardware and almost do like a PS4 Pro to it or an Xbox One X to it, which I'm still not entirely on board with these mid-console refreshes, my concern is that one of the bigger selling points of the Switch will go to the wayside. And what is that selling point? We're getting games like Skyrim on the Switch, Doom on the Switch, LA Noire on the Nintendo Switch, Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. I'm not totally in love with that game. That game pretty much disappointed me, but that's coming to the Nintendo Switch. And the Nintendo Switch is already behind the hardware curve. It's for a portable, it's impressive, but compared to the PS4 and Xbox One, not even the Pro and the X models, it's nowhere near as powerful. So what's going to happen in a few years when people actually bought the Nintendo Switch because they like to get those ports like Doom, even though it may not look or run as good, it's still competent. What's going to happen in a couple of years when developers are like, yeah, the hardware of the Switch is too old now. We could barely get our games on there before. There's no way we could get our third-party games ported over to the Switch now. That'll mean one of the biggest selling points of the Nintendo Switch will no longer be there. So if Nintendo is saying that, hey, straight up for the next 5 to 6 years, we're just going to be focusing on the current iteration of the Nintendo Switch. We may make it smaller, we may make it get better battery life, but in terms of hardware capabilities, it's going to stay the same. You're not going to see the same third-party support because the system simply won't be able to handle it at all, whereas it somewhat can now. Even Resident Revelations 2, that's a pretty damn good-looking game on the Switch. It doesn't run as smooth as it does on a PS4 and Xbox One, but it still runs great. And again, you're getting that benefit, which a lot of people bought the Switch for, of being able to take that game on the go and playing it at home. When you buy it for the PS4 or Xbox One, you don't get the same benefit. And if you let the Switch get too old where it's not capable of running ports anymore, even if they're watered down, a lot of people who bought the Switch for that reason, they may be like, well, there's no more games that I want to play for it, so I'm going to move to another platform. Now, I feel kind of like what Sony did with the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X, that we will see a mid-life refresh of the Switch where it is more powerful, where they may put like a Tegra X3 in there or whatever NVIDIA has at the time. But if they don't, that's kind of a concern, but I'm pretty sure that even though it will still be called the Switch, we will see the new Switch, whatever the hell Nintendo calls it. Their names sometimes are pretty terrible. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think we will see some upgrade in the Switch hardware. About, I would say another couple of years from now, we'll see like a Switch Pro or a Switch X, whatever you want to refer to it as. So leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that the Nintendo Switch, with its current hardware capabilities, obviously, like I said, they'll make it smaller and lighter and make refinements to it, but if the hardware capabilities stay the same, do you think that the Nintendo Switch could last for over 5 to 6 years in its current form? I'm interested to see what you have to say. I may not be able to reply to your comments, but I do read them, and I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell if Nintendo could keep the Switch with its same hardware capabilities successful for over half a decade. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.